Hey, what's up, and welcome to another episode of the Hello Cannot podcast. For today's topic, we'll be discussing on the 2020 US elections and specifically how the voting shows a bigger problem than it is right now. So, for everyone's information, the United States presidential election is ongoing at the moment, with the results favoring Biden at the moment of this recording. Biden sits at 264 electoral votes in comparison to Trump's 214 in a race to the first 270 votes. This figure is extracted from Politico. For those who are unfamiliar with the system, the United States recognizes itself as a democratic country where the main person in charge is decided by the majority. This can be the president, the senators, governors, and so on. But today we'll be talking mainly on the presidency. For the United States, the president holds the highest position in the country while passing off as a global leader influencing the behavior of other nations. Presidents in the United States are given a term of 4 years upon election. At the end of one term, which is 4 years, the citizens are given the opportunity to either vote him out or vote him in for another 4 years. All presidency can only last for a maximum of 2 terms, which is the equivalent of 8 years. For the United States, there are 2 major parties that are constantly fighting for votes and ultimately the ability to decide the future of the nation. So you have the Republicans on one side that are religious oriented, preying on those who believe that the nation should be governed based on rules and laws that are similar to that of Christianity. And then you have the Democratic Party, people who over the years have taken the stance of tolerance. They try their best to understand and accommodate for everyone, exemplifying what an ideal euphoria would look like. Now, there are 50 states in the US. Each of them are allocated a number of electoral votes. For instance, California contributes the highest number of electoral votes at 55. You will also have places like Alaska and Hawaii, both giving 3 and 4 electoral votes respectively. So to put it into perspective, all of the 50 states combine for a total of 538 electoral votes, and that's why 270 is the number that claims majority and wins the election. So that's where right now Biden is 6 electoral votes away from sealing the deal. So in summary, people within a state, they vote to indicate which party it wants to rule over them. So using Hawaii as an example, right? If the Democratic Party obtains more than 50% votes, Hawaii becomes a democratic state which contributes 4 electoral votes to the overall Democratic Party. So the president is then decided by the accumulation of these electoral votes per state. However, one of the problems found is that the US citizens are proud of living in the freest country in the world, whereby democracy has elevated their social status above the rest of the world. I'm not saying all, but the odds of finding someone who does not feel proud is far and few in between. So patriotism, which is high, and I think it's good and admirable, but it actually produces its fair share of idiots and complacency as well. So what I want to emphasize here is that the self-proclaimed democracy, from a state perspective, it makes sense that democracy is upheld when the party that contains the majority vote wins. But what happens next is that the winning majority party basically consumes the whole state. So I'm just going to use another example by using Alaska. So assuming the Republicans have 51% of votes, not only do they own the state, but they also contribute the 3 electoral votes to the presidency campaign, right? So it is precisely because of this flaw that Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump in 2016, despite having the popular vote. So you may be asking what this popular vote means. So this popular vote actually indicates that out of the 328 million residents in the US, as given by Google, as long as any party gets majority of the votes, they're considered the popular vote, right? So Hillary had 3 million additional votes in comparison to Donald Trump's in 2016. Yet because of the electoral voting system, Trump won over more states by minimal margins while losing the Democratic states by a larger margin. So what happened was in the final results, Donald Trump had 304 electoral votes over Hillary's 227. So doesn't democracy justify that the party obtaining the majority votes wins. So on a national level, that seems rather undemocratic. So I just want to bring us back to the 2020 elections, right? So we are currently still pending the final vote counts for Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Alaska. So Biden is leading Nevada while the rest currently falls under Trump. Nobody knows how long it will take to finish counting the remaining votes. But one thing is for certain, and that Trump and his supporters have already started taking action. So Trump has prematurely announced that he has already won the election and that any further counting of the votes should be stopped. He even went around spreading rumors that the Democrats have been cheating in these elections, and he will be appealing to the Supreme Court to stop counting ballots. Here is Trump's speech.
We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election. This is a major fraud in our nation. We want the law to be used in a proper manner. So we'll be going to the U.S. Supreme Court. We want all voting to stop. We don't want them to find any ballots at 4 o'clock in the morning and add them to the list, okay?
Well, there you go. For anyone listening to this podcast, if you think you are weak, always remember that Donald Trump became the president of the United States. If he can do it, you can too. Just need to migrate to the States, where the bare minimum requirement is to be a Christian, not a decent human being. So it may seem that Trump is headed for a defeat, right? Unless there are any sudden plot twists, his fate is pretty much sealed. Great. So everyone votes and elects the lesser of two evils, and life moves on, right? Let me play you this clip.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Why? What's wrong, you ask? Well, the biggest underlying problem here is how Trump lost, right? The consolidated number of votes that went for Trump is actually close to 4 million votes less than what Biden has. We're talking about an entire nation, over 300 million citizens who went through 4 years under Trump. Let's talk about a few things that he has done well so far. The announcement of building the wall across the Mexican border, which is expected to be fully funded by the Mexicans, well, that turned out well, didn't it? And the tariff wars against China. Precisely, exactly no repercussions to the American citizens at all. And now we're talking about the removal of the investment towards the World Health Organization, and most importantly, his handling of the COVID-19 situation that has led to millions infected with close to 250,000 deaths so far. So currently, United States is the world #1 leader in terms of infection and deaths. And yet, his supporters still vote for him without question. They embrace his every word and take action as he recommends. Mind you, these actions committed come at the expense of the nation's health and security. These people would gladly protest against wearing masks, which increases the risk of infecting those around them. Doesn't God preach on loving thy neighbor? Where have all of these values gone to? So in addition, this group of predominantly white Caucasians recently stormed the Michigan Ballot Processing Center and demanded that the counting be stopped. Listen to this.
Stop the counts! Stop the counts! Stop the counts! Stop the count! Stop the count! Stop the count! Stop the count!
And that's how you know how bad it is. Over in Phoenix, Arizona, where Biden has won, Trump supporters were yelling to count the votes, hoping to flip the results for a Trump victory. Hello, cannot lah. Right, don't you find it ironic and hypocritical? These are cherry-picking individuals that love a flat earth and hate people of a different color. I would give them credit for caring for their kids and not wanting them to be autistic, though. They reject vaccines even though there has been no correlation between autism and vaccinations. As someone who mentioned on Twitter, for those who wanted a world without vaccines, witness the world without one vaccine. We have close to half of the population that falls under this category that votes for Trump. Donald Trump being the president is only a symptom of a bigger issue. The root cause is the level of education that the people have received and the confidence gained towards their ignorance. All they needed was someone who could lead them, give them the needed push to truly be the racist bigots that they are. Donald Trump will not be the only facilitator for this type of aggression for the future of the United States. He is just the current one. Democracy is a system that is most suitable when the people allowed to vote have a certain level of intellect and compassion for others, and United States is not one of those countries presently, and until they start looking into this problem, they will forever claim to be the most democratic country in the world, the freest country in the world, as well as being the laughingstock for centuries. If you'd like to understand more on how the election works for the US, please leave us a message, and if you'd like to hear more on the content like these, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next episode. Take care and stay safe.